Football Manager is getting closer and closer. FM26, the wait is almost over, people. Yes, we're probably, 2-3 weeks tops away from the beta releasing. I'm rather excited, more so because there are still feature reveals dropping. Football Manager have just put out a tweet tagging the transfer room, talking about a new real-life inspired tool. So I'm interested by this. And I do also want to talk about this news article that dropped, a Korean news article with a little bit of news that we didn't know about Football Manager in. It's not all good news, mind you. I think the transfer room is actually a platform that real football clubs use to offer out players and stuff. So presumably it's going to have something to do with that. That seems sensible. Let's fire this off and give it a watch. A new recruitment hub that's tied into the squad planner. Pitch opportunities. This is interesting. Oh, okay. Squad planning. So is this an upgrade to the squad planner where they're merging it with the transfer hub? I'm going to go through this video frame by frame in a moment. The music is awful, isn't it? Can we all they should just mute the video. I could just mute the video. I'm not going to do it. You all have to suffer with me. Change the squad, change the game. There is a blog post. I feel like we might get a bit more if we go through this frame by frame. Okay, so the first screen that we have here is kind of a transfer overview. So these are all the different panels that you're going to have in-game. So transfer window is open, transfers in, transfers out, director of football offers. I guess this is where you're trying to maybe get your director of football to sign players rather than sell players. The transfer budget and stuff in the top right is interesting. I kind of hope this graph is accurate. If you could have a graph of what your budget was through a transfer window, that could be really, really fun. We've got the squad planner here, which I'll be honest, I never really used the squad planner last year, but if it's more integrated with transfers, I think that would be a massive, massive step in the right direction. We've also got the staff search, which is kind of tied into all of this, shortlists, and then the interesting thing at the bottom, which this trailer does zoom into, I'm going to mute the music, we have transfer requirements and pitch opportunities. So is that where you can say players you might require and players you might want, and equally be offering out players? I'm not sure. I mean, it says here players offered. What did it say in the previous one? 12 responses. So is this where you can tell teams what you're looking for, and then they come out and say, hey, we've got some players that might fit the player you're looking for? I feel like loans in Football Manager have been really stupid. I'd love it if loans you could try and maybe target teams that your players will kind of fit better into, not just in terms of the roles that, you ask them to promise, but also the system. So if a team plays a similar tactic to me or a similar, set of instructions, I can ask that my player kind of looks for moves to clubs like that. That could be really interesting, to be honest. And I assume that's what that is, kind of an expansion on just offering out players for roles. We then have contract stuff here, so new contracts. I assume this is when you've got players that need new contracts. I assume the table would be wider. There's probably some really useful information off to the right that we just can't see. Squad planning, insights, then we have this. So, yeah, this looks like the old squad depth screen, which I'd actually quite like. This overview as well of your team ability, I don't hate. Obviously, stars are always inaccurate in Football Manager. There's always a degree of bias, and if your assistant isn't good at judging players' ability or potential, it's going to be a little off. But I think for newer players especially, stuff like this is actually a really, really good idea. I assume it would maybe list, hey, here's some places of weakness to maybe look to improve your team. Which, I don't know about anyone else. I feel like if you're more experienced with Football Manager, you maybe didn't use the squad planner before, but maybe this will make it more useful. And we also have here our first look at a recruitment focus. So you can actually add a position in and out of possession. So if you're playing with wing backs that play in the wing back positions, when you have the ball but they drop back to a back four fullbacks, you can kind of set that up now, which is nice. I assume these recruitment things where it says, and smarter scouting, that's just, they've added to that to make it look fancy. I assume that's going to be ongoing, standard, and I can't remember what the other kind of priority is for searching for players. Obviously, you can assign scouts, assign analysts, and then the regions that you want to look in. Nothing crazy going on here, but it's kind of nice to be able to see what this screen looks like with the new user interface. And the fact that the staff responsibilities and FMpedia, of course, the new help thing, are both accessible from this screen, that is a really kind of good thing, I think, for people. That's the end of the video. Now, there is a blog to go with this, a deep dive. I love a deep dive, you love a deep dive. Let me go get the blog up. I'm actually a little bit excited by what this could mean. Admittedly, it's not like the sexiest of features. You know, I can see why they're showing this after everything else they've already revealed about the game. But you can see here, we've got a recruitment revamp. And the fact they don't kind of just say it's exclusively for players makes me wonder if it's also going to affect staff. So for FM26, they furthered their collaboration with their partners at the Transfer Room to give you a new real-life inspired tools for incoming and outgoing deals while making wider recruitment experiences in-game smarter and more intuitive. Here's what to expect. I'm expecting quite a lot here. Like I said, the Transfer Room is an actual platform that real football teams use, so if it can be more akin to that, that'll be really, really cool. Anyway, FM26's overhauled UI is all about clarity without compromise. We'll see about that. I'm concerned there's going to be too many clicks and pop-ups everywhere. And I've mentioned this in every feature video, I just want to see someone at Football Manager play the game for half an hour. Like, before they, do the beta and, the game obviously comes out. For the beta, I would just want to see them stream the game or do some long-form video where we just get to see someone play and interact with all of this. Because these UI screenshots, right, they do look really pretty and really, really nice, but they are at the same time just screenshots, and so it's kind of hard to actually understand what does this mean for me playing the game. The new recruitment home screen contains some tiles that will be familiar to returning players, but also some smart additions that make it easier for you to prioritise and plan effectively. So we've got this overview here, and this is a bit similar to the trailer that we saw, but we can see some new stuff here. So there's lots of clauses that you can access. You can see all your clauses in and out. You can see here contracts. This is kind of cool. So based on the time left on players' contracts, you kind of get an overview of your team. So if you've got a load of players with contracts expiring in the next year or the next 2 years, they're going to appear in the red and yellow section. And then you're also told about all the players with contracts expiring on a screen here. That's kind of nice, because normally in Football Manager, you'd have to, set up a squad view, reverse sort by contracts, and then kind of sort it out there. So if there is, a new contract screen, I can see that being really, really nice. In terms of everything else here, it just kind of looks clean, but nothing too radically new. Also, the fact that this squad planner box, right, is smaller than the box to the left of it is actually really bothering me. It says not final capture. Please fix this annoying gap. Who let that stay in the game? The new recruitment objectives tile, for example, gives you a quick snapshot of what your board and fans are expecting you to deliver in the market. Oh, okay, that's this little thing here. This is just your board, board, vision, and the stuff that they want you to abide by, but at least now you can actually see it somewhere, rather than having to constantly go to the board overview screen. So there is a direct link to the squad planner. I didn't use the squad planner last year. I feel like it was a little half-baked when it was added. Obviously, whenever I say last year, I'm referring to FM24. Let's just pretend that this game wasn't 2 years late, and, it has only been a year since FM24 came out, just for my own sanity. They also talk about the new visual cue for contracts, and to be honest, that was the thing that stood out to me the most. I think that is a really cool screen, and in fact they highlight it here, so maybe they think it is cool as well. So you've got your contracted players, like I mentioned, there's this traffic system for how long they've got left on their deals, and then we can see all the different players at the club, and then the advice on whether or not they should be offered contracts or delay the contracts. Now, you used to get this in an inbox item, but it's really cool to see that in kind of a screen that you can access at any time. And on top of that, there are 4 FFP requirements, and they're kind of linked here. Presumably, if you click there, that's going to obviously work. I have to assume that PSR, the sustainability rules that have come in to the kind of forefront of football, it feels like, in the last 2 years, and everyone's having to get around PSR, is going to be in Football Manager. So hopefully that's going to help with this a little bit. FM26's 2 biggest recruitment additions, powered by a partner at Transfer Room, can be found on the overview screen. Transfer Room is football's online transfer marketplace, a digital platform where clubs are able to simply and directly communicate recruitment needs and desires with other clubs. Kind of already talked about that. We began our collaboration with them in FM24 by giving you the option to offer players for sale via Transfer Room. That just used to be called offer players out, didn't it? It was just a brand deal. Let's not pretend that that was some amazing new thing. You collaborated with them and they got their name put in the game. And then you went sort of more realistic now, which technically it wasn't a feature Football Manager, was it? Okay, I'll be honest, I have no idea why I got that worked up there. I just hate it when they kind of fluff up features that aren't features. Look, let's talk about these new requirements. Hopefully these features are actually features. The first is requirements, and that's to give you a more realistic and authentic experience when it comes to buying players. They're essentially a way for you to communicate directly with every other club in your game world and outline your specific requirements in the transfer market. When creating an advert, you specify what position you're looking for and the sort of player roles you're interested in for both in and out of possession. You can also set expected playing time from star player right down to someone coming through and providing squad depth, as well as the type of transfer and age profile you're looking for. So this is almost like a recruitment focus, but instead of it being your staff going out and scouting players, other teams will approach you with players, which I do actually quite like. I was a bit worried. You know, in FM24, you can ask your director of football, like, for players to sign. I feel like this might be replacing it. And I'm not sure how to feel, but I think this is probably a net benefit for the game. Do we have a look at kind of what it looks like when you get offered players, I wonder? Oh, my word. There's lots of reading in this blog, isn't there? Oh, good news. Your director of football will make recommendations to you based on what clubs come back with. There you go. So your director of football still has a job, everyone. This just feels like, you know how they added hire intermediaries? This almost feels like the hire intermediaries for searching for players. So instead of you assigning a staff member to go out and scout for a certain profile of player, now the teams will approach you, which I don't actually hate as an idea. I just hope we can see how it might look with the options that you get given. I'm not seeing any pictures, so I guess it's not a thing. Opening the transfer room out card allows you to see requirements that other clubs have put out with the exact same detail regarding position, role and playing time. You can filter these by both transfer and loan ads to find, and if you find something that you think matches someone in your squad that's surplus to requirements, you can directly offer them to the club. I mean, if that works for loans, right, that's going to be so good for actual kind of developing younger players, I feel like, because you can actually kind of, well, hopefully target loan options that suit the players. Because I feel like currently in Football Manager, whenever you loan out a player, it just feels like a lottery as to, is it actually a good move? The pitch activity tab allows you to keep track of everyone you've offered out, as well as any transfer bids that come your way, and you'll still receive bids independent of pitch opportunities, and you can still offer out players directly through their player report. So you still got all the old options. This is just like the new thing that you can do as well. Okay, chapter 2, smarter scouting. Whenever they say like smarter or more intelligent or bespoke, I hear certain people like that word. My ears kind of prick up a little bit because I think, is it actually going to be better though? Is the AI actually going to be better? We'll find out when we get to play the game. Okay, so you can now, through recruitment focuses, look for in and out possession roles. We did see that a little bit in the video. The scout reports and advice you receive is going to be smarter, everyone, as your backroom team will now let you know whether a player you're looking at is a natural fit for the formations you're currently using. And there's more under the hood changes waiting for you to discover, all designed to elevate your recruitment experience and increase the realism of how your rivals behave. These improvements and tweaks include, but are not limited to, changes to how clubs sign younger players to satisfy club visions. Further tweaks to AI squad building. Gets tweaked every year, doesn't it? Let's be honest. FFP having more of an impact on AI recruitment. I think that's good. PSR, like I mentioned, has become a big kind of thing with teams doing some interesting deals, especially Premier League clubs, right, with one another. So if that's in FM, that would be cool. There's going to be new transfer clauses for individual player awards. So I wonder if you can like say, if my player wins the Ballon d'Or, I'll give you some money. Better logic surrounding preferred positions in loan negotiations. Amen! Nothing worse than that just being stupid. More loans with future fees and buyback clauses, and improvements to when and why AI clubs will recall players from loans early. I like it when I get to loan a player who I say is a first-team player and then they don't have to go back to their parent club. That didn't need fixing. And we can see a screenshot here of Nathan Ake having a transfer bid made for him, and there's additional bonuses here, and you can see some of the different awards. So you've got Footballer of the Year if he makes the goal top 50 players, World Golden Ball, Champions League Player of the Season, Champions League Golden Boot. I'll tell you what, I can't wait to offer every centre-back, you know, the Golden Boot and Golden Ball kind of additional fees that are never going to be hit, and the AI just to think they're really good deals, and I can save a load of money by cheesing clauses. Let's be honest, that's what we all do in Football Manager with these clauses, isn't it? And that is the blog. I tell you what, I wish we got to actually see what it looks like when you're looking through other teams' players or when your own players have been offered out, because they didn't really show that. And I feel like that's quite important. They basically talked about all these new features and not shown them. And I've talked about this a lot, and I've already talked about this video. I want them to do more showing and less telling. And at the moment, they're just telling us stuff. I mean, what I'm getting from this is the fact that the squad planner and kind of your transfer setup are going to be more intertwined, which if it works, is going to be a really, really cool thing. But I didn't use the squad planner before, and I kind of have my own way that I always have done Football Manager recruitment, because it's just the way that you've always signed players in Football Manager. I wish they'd shown more. Now, as I mentioned, there was an interview that Miles Jacobson did over on Donga. This was part of Tokyo Game Show's kind of coverage, and it was a Korean publication that kind of covered some news here. Now, I'll be honest, a lot of this is stuff that we already knew, but there's a couple of confirmations that we've had that I think are just worth mentioning in this video. So when asked what the biggest changes are in FM26, Miles says about how they've reworked gameplay in various areas and even boldly moved existing features for a better finished experience. And then an example of this is the deletion of national team coach mode. Obviously, pardon the translation, international management is not in FM26. And I know some people probably weren't expecting it to be in the game, but the last official line from Football Manager was, this was going to be in the game. Now, of course, for those of you that can't remember, last year in June, Football Manager announced that loads of features were being removed from the game, like Shouts, Fantasy Draft Mode, Creator Club. And it was actually a few months later that they announced that International Management wasn't going to be in the game. And I do kind of understand the point that people would be like, well, Jack, they said it was coming in FM26, but then FM25 didn't happen. So why would you assume it's going to be in FM26? And the reason, I think it's almost a fair assumption, is when they removed various other features like Creator Club, like Fantasy Draft Mode, they didn't give a timeline for when those features were going to be back. However, back last September, they made a commitment that International Management was going to return in a more feature-rich way for FM26, and it'll be an exciting year for international football with the World Cup, and this will return as part of the base game and not an additional form of downloadable content. So the fact that it's not coming at launch in the base game, and they've kind of already said it wouldn't be coming as downloadable content, makes me feel like we're not going to get international football this year, and it's the year of World kind of Cup football, which just feels kind of bad. Now, being honest, given the fact that we hadn't heard anything about international management for FM26 since, obviously, they started all the marketing campaign, I kind of was just working on the assumption it wasn't going to be in the game, but just some kind of official communication of, hey, we know that we said this was going to be in FM26, it's not coming, and instead we find out via an interview that was done in Korean, which I don't have any issue with the fact it was done in Korean, but the fact it's then not been communicated with an international Football Manager player audience just feels a bit weird to me. And the cynic in me does wonder, what does that mean for other stuff that was in the game that we didn't know was going to be removed? Or, what else could be missing from the game? That does have me a little bit worried. And the fact we've just not seen actual raw gameplay. They really just show me some raw gameplay and I'll be calm, Football Manager. Like I said, I know there's some people that just assumed that international management wasn't going to be coming this year, but I think this is just kind of an example of a wider issue that Football Manager have when it comes to their communication with the audience, especially off the back of kind of talking about how transparent they were going to be going forward. Like, it's rather opaque at the moment. Anyway, not to end on a completely down note, I have to say, this new recruitment stuff, I do actually really like the look of. Be interested to know what you think of it down below. I think anything that makes squad building easier and more visual and fundamentally just more fun and less tedious is only really a good thing. If you've not caught my previous videos covering all the other FM26 news we know so far, go check it out over on the channel, and if you've not yet pre-ordered the game and maybe you're thinking about doing it, use it using my link at the top of the description. Help support the channel, and I really appreciate the support. Besides all of that, have a lovely rest of your day. It's me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.